Warren Davis, and you're watching the Evercade Effect.
Hey everybody, this is Ed from the Evercade Effect, and I thought this week it would be kind of fun to recap the main 10 talking points from when Sean from Blaze Entertainment was a guest on Evercast. I'll go ahead and I'll put that card up above and link below in the description if you want to see that full 2-hour interview. Had a blast, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of reflect and break it down into 10 points. And shout out to channel viewer Nico, who actually kind of listed these points and kind of gave me the idea for the video. So I'm going to start with the number 10, right? And this I thought was interesting. They said that basically the 2025, the state of the games, the licenses are already done. And then Sean also hinted that with 2026, I think he said it was almost done, or most of those were locked in as well. So that I see as a positive. I'm hoping that it'll give them more time to maybe either do some R&D for newer features, maybe for the firmware, quality of life improvements. Not only that, maybe, just maybe, it'll enable them to spend more time to chase after those licenses that we got. So that's kind of nice and reassuring. Number 9, they will drop feed announcements in 2024, and number 8 is going to kind of tie into it, and I like that. Sean did say during the interview that they kind of stepped away from the public eye a little bit, kind of stepped back to take a break. I think they were overwhelmed this year, so I'm glad we'll be kind of getting more more drop feeds like we did dribbles and drabbles, whatever you want to call it. That's exciting. But I remember I specifically asked him, number 8, that they are going to have some showcases in 2025. So they're not going to do where they show you the whole rest of the carts and then there's nothing to talk about for the rest of the year. And that's kind of why Sean said they stopped doing that. But they're going to do shorter showcases. So that I think that's going to tie in to those drop feed announcements. I think that'll be great because I personally loved that type of formats. Number 7, he did say they would look into mouse and keyboard support. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do it on the handheld. And he kind of sounded like that it was possible to get that done in 2025. I think it was more of a technical thing that he said they'd have to double check. But let's be honest, I keep saying this, it's a checkbox in RetroArch. I know that's what they use for the back end emulate. This seems like we're going to get it. Not a guarantee, but it seemed like something that he would look into. And then Crow showed off his silly keyboard controller, which is all Crow. You gotta check that out. Now, he did kind of say don't expect SNK or Sega in 2025, but it's not for a lack of trying on their part. It did make me happy to see when he said that, hey, they constantly they stay in touch with Capcom, Konami, Sega. They stay in touch with all these major publishers and companies to see if it's the right time to work out a deal. So that's what I thought was very very interesting, that it could be timing. Maybe they'd rather produce their own carts themselves. So yeah, I think this is kind of good to set expectations, and that kind of ties in actually to number 5, where he said it would be a good mix of the red, blue, and purple. I mean, we're going to get some arcades, we're going to get some more computer carts, we're going to get the typical retro red carts and whatnot. But he did drop that we're going to get at least one dual cart in a single cart. Possibly maybe more than one dual cart, so that makes me happy. He said we would be seeing more indie games next year, and yeah, he did acknowledge that it was a lack of a lack of indie games this year. So that makes me happy. And then number 4, they said that 2023 was a great, it was a good year by Blaze's standards. So I thought that they, that I thought was good because they acknowledged, I kind of pointed out the timeline and the curation of the carts and everything. And yeah, it just really made me happy to see that they went ahead and acknowledge, acknowledge that, because I did go back and compare that a lot to 2024. Oh, and this is the thing we talked about. Yeah, they don't know where they'll be in 5 years, which I thought was interesting because initially we brought up that I brought up the Pico licensing, right? About how with the initial 10 Evercade carts, they probably didn't know, how long was Evercade going to be? Was it going to be past the 10 carts? And that pretty much they got the best of Pico and all that, which is kind of what I thought. Versus if they had known over time, it kind of would have been, some of the better carts would have been sprinkled. So that was kind of funny. And then they don't even know where they see themselves in 5 years. just kind of playing it by ear, kind of going with the flow of things because they always said that their goal was to get to like 50 carts. They've surpassed that. Obviously, they're still making carts. Yeah, and I admit number two, this is the most difficult one for me to deal with. And I think, and I'm not alone in this. Like a lot of YouTubers and people, out there, Blaze can't make everyone happy, right? Like one person's trash is another person's treasure. And so going into 2025, I'm really going to try to be more mindful of this because there are carts that do come out that I really like. Like believe it or not, there are some people that maybe they don't like the indies, that they don't like the dual carts, or they're not as much into arcades. And there's some people that are like fanatically into like the blue carts, which as you all know, aren't my favorite. But that's one thing as a community that I know we could all do better. I know that I could do better. Is I think we all might need to be a little bit more respectful of what other people have. I'm sorry, what other people are into, right? So if you view a collection as trash, someone else may, hey, that was an awesome collection that I really like. Yeah, it's nostalgia, or in some cases it may not be nostalgia, which it's all fine at the end of the day. It's just all of our opinions. I know I have strong, passionate opinions. I'm sure you have strong, passionate opinions, and that's all fine as long at the end of the day, we can kind of be civil about everything. And the last number one takeaway talking point was that their best sellers. I remember, like I asked them about what their best sellers were. He couldn't, he couldn't tell me if they were like arcade carts or if they were indie carts or if they were computer collection carts or whatever. But he did say that that definitely their top sellers were Duke Nukem, Tomb Raider, and Soul Reaver. And I think this is fantastic. While not everyone will be into all these properties and IPs, I think it's great that this is something that's gone ahead and it's going to push Evercade forward. I saw a few posts on Reddit where someone's like, "Yeah, Soul Reaver was the reason of why I bought Evercade," and like most people love Duke Nukem, and there's a big following for Tomb Raider and all that. So that'll really made me kind of happy to see that. That was just a great roundup. Sean was an excellent guest. He answered all my questions. And everything, and I felt like the answers and everything I got I was like 95% satisfied. I mean, obviously, and I say that because obviously I understand there's some certain things, but they really couldn't go into detail. Like yes, obviously they're not going to tell us numbers or any of that. Maybe not like they couldn't really go into the logistics and all that, which that's perfectly fine. So yeah, let me know. Put in the comment section below. Those were the 10 main takeaways that I can recall. Was there anything that I missed? Was there anything else important? Please go ahead and let me know. And again, if you want to watch the full 2-hour interview, which was awesome, it'll be in the description below. And I just want to thank so much my channel members. And if you like what you see, all I ask is please consider subscribing. Thank you so much, and bye-bye. Thanks, Crashline, Mr. Shua, Immortal Sojourn, Sucker MC, Ember Cummings, Joe Whitlash.